And now, undeniably, my personal favorite, the baritone barrister, with his deep blue eyes romancing the weight of responsibility with equal measure of charm and persistence, Mr. Mohit Nirula, Chief Operating Officer, Oberoi Group. Having held several positions of changemaker here, there, and everywhere, I'm certain the world at large is delighted to have you back where you belong the most. Engaging with them today is Mr. Ravish Swarup, member of the GHC and also founder and CEO of Praxis Services in the digital hotel marketplace, onefinerate.com. Forgive me for, I went with the blue eyes already, and hence my poetry on your good looks I've reserved for the next GHC. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, so good afternoon and warm welcome. It's an absolute pleasure. Mr. Dewan, Vivek, Mohit, first time to GHC. Arif, thank you for being around. It's a warm welcome. We've had this, as Mr. Kaul said, at the start, 9th year of. And I have to tell you, gentlemen, that each year, I think this is the 9th edition, but maybe about 5 or 6 years back, we started identifying and said that there has to be one permanent slot for those who were with the company, went out to achieve those super successes. So this has remained a staple for the last 5-6 times that we met. And I can tell you that we are extremely boastful for the number of times that your names would have been taken in the GHC prep meeting. We are boastful. We have cherished your successes in the many meetings. So congratulations. Arif, for an outstanding career in sales and marketing with 3 international hotel companies, 2 Indian hotel companies, love to hear from you. Mr. Dewan and Vivek, success at Oberoi Hotels, outside of Oberoi Hotels, to the company that you went in, achieved super success, the top positions, CEO and Managing Director, outstanding. Mohit, my friend, many years of success at Oberoi Hotels. Outside of it, super success again with senior living and back again with Oberoi Hotels. We love to hear from you. So really, I mean, if the 4 open question to each one of you, give you a minute and a half, 2 minutes to just recount your journey as to where you are, what you're doing, and what has led you to be where you are, what you're doing. Mr. Dewan, let's start with you.
So currently, as everybody knows, I'm the Managing Director at the Apeejay Surrendra Park Hotels Limited. We have recently had a very successful IPO, which got subscribed 62 times. We had an opening day closing at 31% of the initial price. So I've been now with Park Hotels since 1991, and what we have been doing for Park, or what I have been doing for Park, is to try and position it as a very highly differentiated, credible, and as a formidable organization. We are differentiated in the fact that we are running a lifestyle boutique hotel. We are differentiated on design. We are differentiated in terms of events and entertainment. What we believed in and how we tried to create is that value creation in hotels is through excellence, or through quality, or through standards, or by just creating experiences today. But in our case, what we have worked on over the years is to create another element of value creation, that is through entertainment. So entertainment in our hotels is significantly used to create value, and that is through nightlife, through bars, and through a whole lot of events which take place. So to create an atmosphere which is very business-like during the day, which is very cool and in fact sexy during the evening, and sort of pulsating and vibrating, full of energy and full of excitement during the night. So that's what we have done. So we have created, on the people front, we have believed that highly engaged team members only lead to highly engage customers, and that leads to higher profits. So we have been all the time looking at development of our people. In fact, Chickaton has moved out at the moment. Over the last 10, 12 years, we have sent over 101 people for development at the Cornell University to see that, we understand best practices in the world, and then we are able to introduce and create the next next level of best practices from within our country or from within the organization. Today, we have created credibility, we have created a formidable organization in terms of the financial structure which we have put in, and that has resulted in the success of the IPO.
Thank you very much. Great, interesting. We'll also go back to an IPO story. If there are any others in the room thinking of an IPO, maybe there are some lessons to be learned. Vivek, how about you?
Firstly, thank you very much for having me. I think my sincere gratitude and big thank you to the organizing committee of GHC and all of you to have invited me. It's really humbling and honoring. My sincere tribute to the founder of the Oberoi Group and one of the great inspirations because of whom we are all here, and the legacy lives on in all of us, and also my tribute to Mr. Madhok as well. It's been a journey of 2 decades now with the Lalit Suri Hospitality Group. Didn't realize time just flies, and every day is an exciting day for me. Started as a resident manager of Intercontinental The Grand, which now is the Lalit New Delhi in Connaught Place, and grew up the ladder. Became from resident manager to the general manager of the same hotel, which is the flagship for our group. Thereafter, grew on to different roles and became the CEO. Really inspiring and humbling from my ownership, Dr. Suri and the family, the executive directors, to be where I am, and for them having chosen me. The Lalit Suri Hospitality Group currently has in its portfolio 12 luxury hotels across hotels, palaces and resorts category across the landscape of the country, from Kashmir to Kerala, and from the legendary Great Eastern Kolkata to our property in Mumbai and even in central part of India. I think the growth story is just about beginning, and we've all come through the dark phase of our lives that as the world witnessed with the COVID and pandemic. And I think exciting times ahead for us as a group. While not only we've consolidated ourselves, I think now we are embarking towards excellence in every sphere of what business we would like to do. But most important is to develop a talent pipeline for us. And we are also successfully running, I don't know if you're all aware, the Lalit Suri Hospitality School at Bhatkal in Faridabad. And we are looking at also nurturing talent from within, growing talent from within, and we have also partnered with, for example, ISH to learn leadership programs. So we have Mr. Puri here, who's very kindly enabled and assisted us. We've done with 25 leaders of our group that we've done it. So thank you very much, Mr. Puri, for that. And we continue to grow. Our belief is that whatever we do, we may not be scaling up like giants, but we want to take steps that are achievable, manageable, and sustainable. I think sustainability is a big word. One important highlight of us as a group is our belief in DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's in our DNA. We embrace individuals from all walks of life, whether they are from the LGBTQIA+ community, they are acid attack warriors, they are individuals with intellectual or neurodivergent stability, people with disabilities. We've employed around 250 odd individuals that are working across the landscape of our country, and I think great source of inspiration comes from Mr. Keshav Suri, our executive director. And we want to grow this. While there may be dearth of talent pool, but there is talent out there only if you want to nurture them and make them come together. So excited to be here, and thank you very much for having me. Just before the Lalit, I opened the Grand Hyatt Mumbai as EM rooms, and just prior to that, had the honor of working with the Marriott International, worked with Mr. Menon, and recall the great times that we had together, putting the whole piece together of opening of Renaissance Hotel. And prior to that, opening of the Wildflower Hall at Mashobra. It's a fairy tale dream experience for me and my life. Working with the Oberoi Group in Mumbai for 6 years. And prior to that, I'm a Taj boy. So I started my management training program from Taj. I'm a non-OCLD. Which everyone's asking me which batch am I? And I'm not an OCLD. And I think it's really proud that I could be there. I had trust, in our leadership that engaged and hired me into the Oberoi Group, and went on to open a hotel. And thank you very much for this great journey. Thank you.
Congratulations, and all the very best, Vivek.
Thank you.
I'm going to pull seniority and say,
Okay, pull seniority. Yeah, Arif, there.
I think my journey is different than most of them. A botany graduate, a cricketer first, then botany graduate, starting on a bell desk. My Garwapsi at ITC, so back in 90s. Spent 15 years in operation and now on other side. And I think we're just starting. So, what we're doing at ITC is we're de-merging, as most of you know, and going asset right means building brands and distribution, right? But there's B2B and B2C. So that's what the mandate I have, and that's what we're working on. I think it's going to be exciting time for industry. I think Raj spoke and everybody spoke. And there's going to be a tremendous opportunity for everyone. And as he said, there's a space for everybody to grow. We launched 2 brands in last 1.5 years, and you will see more coming in next few months before we go public. There's a lot of learning in this demerger, right, session, because for 50 years everything is in the name of ITC Limited, hundreds of licenses, systems, and that's what we want to make sure that the demerger is smooth and we create value for stakeholders when we go public in H2 of this year. So that's me. I spent 5 years at Oberoi, and that was the longest stint I had with any company except Starwood, where I did various roles. Pleasure of working with 2 of my mentors who took risk on me, Dilip and Mr. RK. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Mohit, are you now ready?
I'm happy to speak. So thank you so much. Number one, officially I'm supposed to be the person playing host. So it was really nice to stand at the door and welcome so many of you to the Oberoi New Delhi, and it's always a pleasure to meet you. I've been very fortunate. I walk in the footsteps of giants. If I don't do a good job, and Mr. Arjun Oberoi and Mr. Vikram Oberoi are here, if I don't do a good job, many of the people to blame are in the room. They are the ones who mentored me and taught me, so take your complaints there. So don't come to me for that. But having said that, I mean, if you were to ask me what has been the secret or what's driven my journey, I always say this to a lot of people, and it's been, I say it humbly, but ability. I worked really, really hard. There may be more people more talented than me, but I know I did work harder than most. Mobility, I think Raj was saying, people used to tap you on the shoulder and send you off. I went where they sent me. When they sent me, no questions asked, to whatever position they sent me to, and then worked really, really hard. And the third thing was visibility. I made sure that when I worked hard, people knew I was working hard, and therefore, basically, and every time there was an opportunity, and again, I think Raj was saying the thing that careers have to be made not by the company, but by you. Every time there was an opportunity, my hat was always thrown in the ring, and it is a credit to this organization that they gave me what was due to me on Monday, the previous Friday. So therefore, I say thank you to everybody who taught me, everybody who recognized the work that I did much before I actually deserved it. So thank you so much. So that's been the secret. There was a bump, and probably one of the reasons why I haven't been to these sessions, when, for reasons known to 5 people, I stopped being part of the Oberoi group. No sixth person will ever know that. But it is also a credit to those 5 people, including Mr. Oberoi, that I came back to the company and I am where I am today. So it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have you all here, and I look forward to the rest of the afternoon.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mohit. It's just so one of the things that, and we heard Natasha talk about in the previous session, you all are sitting in positions, we are going through some traumatic time. All of us on the trauma, with the trauma you'll get to know, we are the Generation X, as we refer ourselves to be. 1997 and those born earlier, they are also the people that we seem to be working with. A lion's share of our time is going in dealing, managing, making productive hours, come through from the Gen Z, okay? How is it with the polarity of thought process that is really different? Many times the language is different, okay? So how is it that in your own ways, and I'll come to something that's related, but would you mind sharing as to how you're battling this out? How is that difference narrowing?
So to take this question, we have been working on this for now a couple of years. One is to understand this generation, that is the Gen Z generation, to understand that they are absolutely digital natives. They are very hyper-cognitive, which means that they can move from one space to the other space rather quickly. Second, they believe in an individual identity. They believe also in excess of things rather than possession of things. And they really care in terms of sustainability and many other things like this. But the key is that they spend almost 10.5 hours on the mobile or on the internet. And they need a definite, sort of a balance between work and life. So we have been experimenting this now for the last year and a half in some of the departments as to how to get this work-life balance right for the Gen Zs. So what we have done, say in front office in 2 of our hotels, we have reduced the number of working hours from 8 hours to 6 hours. So instead of having 3 shifts, we are now having 4 shifts. So imagine that you start your first shift at 6 o'clock and you're off to home at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So there is automatically this creation of work-life balance. And what we are trying to see is that through this process in 2 of our hotels, can we increase productivity? Can we increase motivation? Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's going to be all about engaged team members leading to engaged customers, and that leading to higher profits. And what we have seen in this exercise at the moment, and by the way, we have introduced this now in certain other departments also in the hotel, that is moving on to do it in room service, and likewise in another department. So the outcomes are different in 2 different hotels. It has definitely resulted in lower attrition rate. My overall attrition rate is currently in the range of 50%, and in this department also where this exercise has taken place was also 50%. So in one of the hotels, the attrition rate has actually come down to roughly about 20%, and that is making it prove the success in terms of the program. And in fact, on the other side, there has been only marginal reduction in the other hotel in terms of the attrition rate. It is still in the formative stage. We are still working on it. We are also trying to see that actually it does not lead to any increase in payroll cost. In fact, it should By use of technology, it should reduce payroll cost as well and increase productivity and increase customer satisfaction. So this is what we are working on in terms of how to handle the Gen Z, which is a very unique experiment, and we hope that we are successful and we are able to introduce it across the organization. The other thing in the other departments we are doing is like in traditional hotel management, we used to have this famous housekeeping discrepancy report. Through technology today, through the use of SAP, what we are constantly monitoring is the work hour discrepancy report, and it's part of the general manager's morning meeting to discuss if there are any discrepancies, if we are making people work more than 8 hours. Try and see how we can reduce the number of hours people work in this industry so that we are able to get more talent, better talent, and we are able to improve productivity. This also has been relatively successful, and it's being worked upon across all hotels at the moment. So again, it comes to believe in people, it comes to trust people and take care of people. Do not go by the tradition of asking people to work 12 hours. That itself should solve the problem of the Gen Zs.
Any one of you gentlemen would like to add to this?
Both from a customer point of view, internal and external, every brand has enjoyed irrational loyalty. And this is my personal take that over the next 10-15 years, if you don't have a purpose, there is no brand equity. Right? And we've seen it happening. If you look at Apple's sales, what happened to Tesla, what's happening in many brands. So you can't take that part lightly. The time of irrational loyalty will disappear very fast. So I think how you adopt, and father of two daughters, they're extremely hardworking and smarter than us, and they are more responsible. So saying they just want to enjoy life, I think that would be a wrong assumption. They're ambitious, but I think we need to look at how we operate, right? The hierarchies, the rules, right? All these, and in a country where average age is 28 years, I think we'll be hit first than anybody else. When this whole workforce comes into the work, we'll have to relocate how we are organizing ourselves. If we don't, I think this attrition of 15-20% will be huge, and that will impact everything, right? So we need to unlearn. It's a high time that we unlearn and learn from these guys. What they bring on table is completely fresh and new, and it's eye-opener when you interact with them.
Actually, if I may just segue in from there, and I also have two daughters, and a lot of the learning of what the next generation wants came to me from them. But everything that Arif said is correct. Not one principle on human resource management that has stood by the industry until now holds anymore. So the change has to be across the board, across every single parameter, not one. But what rammed this home for me is a little story that I'll tell you. I was interviewing, and I come from a generation where I had to be taught in a training program that at the end of the interview, you must ask the person, do you have any question for me? Because we were supposed to be doling out jobs as gifts, right? So to ask and show humility was also a training program that we went through. But the point that I'm making is, I interviewed this very young marketing executive, advertised to say, we are located in Bangalore, the office is in Bangalore, you will be expected to come in from time to time, etc. At the end of the interview, I asked him, do you have any questions for me? And he says, is it your expectation that I will come to work, to the office? So I said, yes, in the sense we did advertise that we are in Bangalore, our office is in Bangalore, and that we'd like you to come in from time to time. Is there a problem? So he says, no, actually there's no problem. I'm happy to come into office. But if you have an expectation, then I have a problem. And if you were to analyze that statement, that if you have an expectation, then I have a problem. I shall give of me voluntarily more than you can even want. But don't come to me saying, I expect you to do this. And that's really, that kind of made my relationship with my daughters much nicer. I don't expect phone calls. I'm grateful when they come, and so on. So that's what I would say about Gen
So just
Z.
adding before Vivek, you get in there, just adding, for example, social media, and we know we work very closely with LinkedIn, and many times that that your team member that you think that you have trust and implicit faith and rely on his or her efficiency shows an open to work. Okay, now what does that communicate to you? I mean, does that change, or is there a way that you would deal with it? How do you confront such a thing?
Well, I've sometimes, if I may take that, I've gone ahead and directly asked,
Yeah.
is everything all right? He says, oops, I made a mistake, and he pulls it back. So even if, like in the social media world, it's become prominent, I think it's being done very subtly, but it is important. And I just want to, on your previous question, want to just add on that respect for individuals is being one of our core values of the organization. I'm sure everyone has it. It's even more important that we give that due care, that genuine, transparent, and honest conversation, that a feedback is a feedback, but it has to be done in a manner that the person has received it well, and making sure the basics have gotten right. Wherein the good old days of just making sure that the team dining facilities have the right set of menu, the quality food, they're well fed, the team accommodation that's being offered, and they have something which is habitable, and they love staying where they are. Their mental well-being today is even more greater important than what it used to be in our times that we've grown up as hoteliers. And I think they're all reeling under a lot of pressures of their own kind. And I think this gen is today wanting that pat on the back more often, the recognition and the smile and the warm fuzzies that we talk about more often than ever. So it's important that we keep that in mind. And yes, you're right, coming back to this question, that on social media, if one sees open to work, what's your reaction? I think there is a lot of assessment we need to do at ourselves, internalize and see, look at the mirror. That's the mirror for us. That what's the satisfaction levels that we are actually reeling under, and what is it that we need to do? Perhaps there's a lesson or a story to learn, and I think we get that answer ourselves in managing them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's not by design that the four of you, represent some, great Indian hotel companies. We had Raj speak about it. 203 million Marriott Bonvoy members. Post-COVID, the advent of OTA, while OTA, and you all must have been in a number of discussions, but OTA today is just so strong. I mean, you're talking of no longer in 10s and 15s and 20s. From a brand to brand, that number may differ. But when you look at just the emerging eminence of OTAs, and then you have on the other side international hotel companies, which are extremely compelling in terms of their distribution and the loyalty. Do we get a sense? I mean, how does an Indian hotel company respond? I mean, of course, Arif.
We created these monsters, right? The point is, if you maintain pricing parity, people will buy from the brand, right? The problem is the revenue guys are handling OTAs, so police is criminal is the police, right? So we got to look at this more holistically, right? Loyalty is little overrated in my view, right? Because your most loyal member sleeps in somebody else's bed more than your bed, if you really look at the data. While it's a important thing to have, but it costs a lot of money to run loyalty programs. So if you have a smart digital system, right, you empower customers, and if you maintain parity, I think you can have balanced distribution and you can sail through. Because why would you give away 20% of your bottom line? For what? Right? Today there is supply demand imbalance. There's no better time than now to put this in a place, right? Look at the occupancies. Election month, you're at 70 to 73%, right? ARRs are going, industry is going 15 to 20% on last year, which was a great year. Why you want to grow indirect channel? right? It makes no fiscal sense, and it's highly irresponsible to do that, right? Just to fill up the hotel occupancy. And I think if everybody stands together, we should renegotiate. Airlines have done it successfully. I mean, Indigo would charge them money for distributing their seat. It's reverse, right? Because they have 60% market share. And you know, how can they bring business to you? It's your brand, you're spending money, it's your service, right? It's your reputation. It's just because you create pricing disparity. We had 11% OTA share, right? And we have 70% non-contracted business.
So,
70% is non-contracted.
but that may be largely an outlier because, you know, just, so anyway.
No, because we took that hard decision of not creating pricing disparity.
So if we were to look at what we are doing in terms of park, there used to be a time when I would get into a marketing meeting and I would say I hate OTAs. Today I have realized that I have to live with them. So we have to develop the revenue management strategies in and around the OTAs. And we have done that. We have consistently improved on our technology in terms of revenue management system. And part of our business success is also for the fact that we have been able to achieve India's highest occupancy over the last 10 years. And again, we, in the segment in which we are operating, that is in the upper upscale segment, we have market leadership in terms of RevPAR. And that finally, hospitality is not about ARR, as we have understood. It's actually all around the RevPAR in the segment in which you are operating, and that leads to higher profits. And today we have a higher percentage of profit compared to the competitors. So my take is that we have to deal with them. We have to negotiate and renegotiate the cost structure, the so-called commissions with them. There is no way out as far as the OTAs are concerned. And we have to see that our own systems are the world's best in terms of revenue management. And the result is for everybody to see of our company, because now we are a listed company, so it's all in public domain. Highest occupancy. In fact, in our hotel in Calcutta, for the last 2 years, we have been able to achieve 100% occupancy all throughout the year.
Fantastic. So conscious of the time, we are eating into the lunchtime, but anyway, any comments from you, gentlemen?
So one disclaimer, I have been back for the last 7 months. My probation confirmation interview is still pending, so I have to answer carefully. Second, being away from the industry for 6 or 7 years kind of gives you a very different perspective when you come back. And one of the things, like I said, all paradigms must change. One thing that I am seeing, even when we are having our STR discussions and everything else, I haven't met a general manager who's not STR1. I haven't met a head of business who's not got an RGI premium of 124. In fact, even Raj had the same. And I haven't met a general manager who's not beating budget. Now, what this tells me is that either we are performing really well or we are budgeting really well. We've all heard of under promise, over deliver. This is under promise, under budget, overachieve. It is, if you want to be STR1 with an RGI premium, choose your comp set carefully, right? And the fact of the matter is, if you do all of this, you could actually be performing, everybody could be performing beautifully, but everybody's wondering, how come? And with regards to this question of OTA versus direct versus this, our market mix and channels, that report is still the same. Our sales teams and marketing teams and revenue teams are structured still the same, but the guests have moved. They are booking differently, they are engaging with us differently. And what I also find is that really we look at average room rate and assess whether they are desirable or not knowing what cost it involves to produce that average room rate. And sometimes OTA may look a very good rate, but there's a commission. Corporate may look a low rate, but there's an even bigger sales team. So we really need to understand which customer coming through which channel, involving how much effort, brings you the best rate. And if you answer all four and realign your forces, that will help. And hopefully by the time we meet again next year, I should have an answer to that question.
Well, thank you very much. So before we wind up, I did, for the number of financial review meetings that we had, and I want to include Mohit in this, it was rather a grim affair, serious affair. We knew the pattern, we knew, what was coming depending on the hotels that we were sitting in, going with Mr. Oberoi. However, when in the presence of Mohit, when you were around, there used to be, during those 2, 3, 4 hours, either your wittiness or your quips that would come in would bring a smile to the face of our wonderful Mr. Oberoi. And would you narrate an incident or an anecdote that comes to your mind?
I've been out once, I don't. There are only 2 innings you get to play. So I'm going to let that pass outside the off-stand.
Okay, fair enough. So I'm going to ask Sanjeev, we don't have time any longer. Yeah, Mr. Keswani, is this a Q&A for?
This is actually a question for Vivek. Very quickly, share with everybody what your company does specially for the LGBTQI community. I was part of a panel with you, if you remember, some months ago, both from a customer who does, how do you make them feel safer, more welcoming, do they know that you are the hotel of choice, and the same thing for the internal customer. How do you draw them in? What do you do? You have a lot of special practices which people I think are shying away from, but it's 2 big segments. So very quickly run everybody through it. It'll be a wonderful thing to do.
Thank you, Mr. Keswani, for that warm question. Yes, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, I think today are some very, very important set of streams that we need to focus very compassionately on. So I'll first talk about our customer side, and I must say that we are very proud that the Lalit Suri Hospitality Group today has all its hotels that are IGLTA approved and accredited. IGLTA, for those of you who don't know, you may do a Google, is International Gay Lesbian Travel Association. And in India, we have the India chapter where Mr. Keshav Suri, our executive director, is the chair. And we believe that there is a segment out there that India is missing out on. And if only we opened up our minds and made everything legal and possible, we will see a surge 2 to 3x. And I think the power of pink economy is still unexplored in India. And we are actually seeing a surge where this space is concerned. We've had a lot of weddings where our Honorable Prime Minister's vision is wed in India. I do in India, as what we will see coming across. We are seeing a lot of same-sex marriages that are taking place, receptions taking place, and individuals from different countries coming here and getting married. We've done some beautiful beach weddings in Goa and in Kashmir on the gardens. And I think this space, why are the guests choosing us? Because they feel safe, they feel secure, they feel that they are cared for and loved. And there's no discrimination whatsoever, equality for all. From a team's perspective, we give our individuals and team members a free space, and including having inclusive restroom. So many of the individuals who don't identify themselves of a gender and it's gender fluid, they would like to be in a washroom or a restroom where they want to go to. So I think we've actually created these restrooms in all our hotels where the individuals can choose a restroom of their choice. It's not only a gents or a ladies and a differently abled one. It's an all-inclusive restroom where they can go and be a part of and utilize. A lot of mental health education and counseling, a lot of sensitization is happening on the ground where we are actually sensitizing our team members and all of us as allies that today it's all right. We all are queer. we all have some bits of queerness in us, and I think how do we embrace and take that forward? I think it's being appreciated and loved by all, and we've conducted some very successful events and conferences on this subject and have won many accolades and recognition on this platform. I hope I was able to answer your
Thank you.
So, but they're the most organically searched hotel company or hotel. So if you look at Delhi search volume, they're number one. Bombay, they're number one. Bangalore, they're number one. And it's not that they're part of the com set, but just out of interest, we look at this periodically, which brand is driving, because more search volume, better chances of higher rates, better conversion. So I think this inclusive strategy is driving even non-LGBTQ customers, because new age customer is more liberal, right? We all know our kids and how they look at things. So well done on that.
Thank you very much. Is there any other, just one more question from anyone? I know that it's lunchtime. Oh, does that mean nothing else? Okay, so thank you very much. A round of applause for our very own. Thank you, Mr. Dewan. Thank you, Vivek. Mohit and Arif, may we request you. Permission of Mr. Jain, we'll just have so please may I request all of you, there is a lucky draw that's going to happen immediately now. Okay, so could we have that? Sorry, it's not lucky draw, it's a... Okay, so Diksha, please come in. Okay, so there is a round. There are 4 slides that are going to go from the standpoint of Gen X and Gen Z that we spoke about. Can we quickly? Mr. Jain, could we have all of you just for a minute or two? Please sit. Mr. Jain's going to be moving around. Please sit. And this is just going to last 2 minutes. Better, sir? Just sit. All of you, please partake in the quiz. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so if you hear your team worker use this word cancelled, okay, what do you think it's going to be? Any one of you? Well, no retention charges, Gen X talking. What do you think? Is there one? Mr. J? Okay, so we have a gentleman here. Sorry, please go ahead.
It's a very, very common concept back in the United States of getting cancelled. So we all know what getting cancelled means. It means you're no longer relevant.
Okay, there it is. I can't believe that the company was caught dumping waste. It's cancelled. Okay, so you've heard of this word cap, and you are from the US now. You're not going to speak. Thank you very much. You won one award, Mr. Jain.
Anyone of them. Big hand to Himanshu.
Himanshu, thank you very much. Cap. Does anyone want to speak or know what cap means?
And we all spoke about Generation X, Z, right? Cap means to gas or to bullshit, lie, things like that.
And that's right. So Samir is saying something that's being considered false, so is an outright
Samir, did you check ChatGPT or you just came like that?
The words of
okay,
children use that.
And I know that impatience is going, so we are going to ask one more. Drip.
You won a Leela dinner voucher. Big hand to Samir Singh.
Yes.
Thank you, Jaideep.
Drip. Does anyone want to talk? So if you hear any of you out. Okay, so we have Kanika raising her hand.
I like your drip. That means I like how you dressed, your demeanor.
You're telling me?
A cool sense of
absolutely telling you.
Okay. So Kanika, she's looking after UK and MP and UP. So big hand to Kanika.
And Mr. Jain, we have the last one.
Wow, Radisson Jaipur. Kanika is going to go to Jaipur with Ashish.
Okay. And the last one comes in. Okay, we're going to miss.
Bet.
No, 1 second. No, we're going to take another interesting word. Okay, we'll move from this. Finesse. Gen X referred finesse to something else.
Who is that?
To finesse means to say something which is not exactly the truth, but get the results.
Okay, the act of
finesse your
getting what
way
you
in.
want by tricking or manipulating someone.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
You can choose one.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you very much. Thanks, Vivek.
Dinner voucher at Leela.
With honor, sir.
There is only 1 hour for lunch, ladies and gentlemen. Only 1 hour from now. Please come back on time.